When the guns were supposed to go silent, they got louder, and the peace agreement that was supposed to end the dying instead triggered one of the deadliest periods of the entire conflict. The Paris Peace Accords were signed on January 27, 1973, and called for an immediate ceasefire across South Vietnam to take effect within 24 hours of signing. American officials presented this to the public as the end of American involvement and, implicitly, the beginning of genuine peace. The reality on the ground in Vietnam bore almost no relationship to that description. In the weeks immediately preceding the ceasefire deadline, both South Vietnamese and North Vietnamese forces launched frantic land-grabbing operations, racing to seize as much territory as possible before the ceasefire took effect, because the agreement specified that forces would remain in place where they stood at the moment the ceasefire began. Territory held at that moment would determine the political and military starting position for whatever came next. The result was an explosion of fighting in the final hours before the ceasefire, with casualty rates in certain areas exceeding anything seen in the preceding months, as both sides threw forces into desperate territorial seizures with full knowledge that a deadline was approaching. Entire villages changed hands multiple times in single nights. After the ceasefire technically took effect, violations began almost immediately and continued without meaningful interruption. The International Commission of Control and Supervision, established by the Accords to monitor compliance, was undermanned, under-equipped, and largely ignored by all parties from the moment it began operating. Hundreds of ceasefire violations were recorded in the first weeks alone, with significant casualties on both sides continuing at rates that would have been considered active warfare in any previous context. The ceasefire that ended American involvement didn't pause the killing. It just removed the Americans from the accounting. Did you know the ceasefire period after the Paris Accords was actually one of the deadliest of the entire war? Tell me in the comments. And follow for more hidden truths from this war's endgame.